So, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian, and today we're going to be going over the Michigan versus Washington matchup and then my predictions for week 8 of the college football season for this year. All right. So, right off the rip, I need to say that Michigan just cannot have a repeat of last week. Um, for those of you who may not be familiar with Washington, their quarterback, while certainly not as dynamic as Jordan Maivia was for USC, or is for USC rather, he is definitely capable of putting up yards. Absolutely capable. He destroyed Rutgers in a wide variety of ways. He was incredibly effective with legs and his arm. Uh, he is different than Maivia in that he will run more readily, I believe, than he will freak out and just throw the ball away. So he has that ability that Michigan's going to need to really shore up their defensive line is going to have to be aware that he is far more capable of that. That being said, Rutgers is not on the level of Michigan, so perhaps that may be less of a threat, but it is still a threat nonetheless. He is going to, sorry, they are going to have to stop him from doing that far better than whatever mess it was at USC last weekend. So now, on the flip side of that, if they do that, then this will be definitely could be a not an easy game, but it'll be a far more convenient game for them. If Michigan's defense can really limit him to passing, then it'll be a lot easier for them. They'll get off the field more because Michigan's, I don't know, their defense really is capable of doing that to teams if they can stop the dual threat nature of a quarterback. So I think that Michigan needs to do that in order. That's the key to winning this game specifically. Offensively, of course, if Justice Haynes is back, uh, they'll have that dual backfield by committee thing they've had going, but that has heavily featured Haynes as the primary back. But Jordan Marshall is capable of backing him up to a certain extent and making that a very viable backfield tandem. As for Bryce Underwood, um, obviously it's hard because of all the hype that's surrounding him. He is still learning how to put touch on his passes. His arm strength is not in question. He can throw the ball, but can he pass the ball in a manner that makes the ball catchable? I think that is part of the problem. Now, obviously, receiver drops are an issue, absolutely, and that is something that remains in the jury pool of needing to be addressed. But I think that is becoming more and more of an apparent issue. So hopefully they can address that. And if they are, then yes, Michigan's offensive capabilities will get better and better as time goes on. Will they be solved immediately? No. Because once again, he's a young man. He's learning how to play ball at this level. And he has absolutely every capability of doing so. And I believe he will. But it's going to take time. And it's going to take patience from the coaching staff and the fans alike because we can't get immediate results. And once again, a young man, young guys take time to learn new things. So I encourage people to have some patience with him. On the flip side of that, we do need results, both offensively and defensively, because this is Michigan. We do hold them to a standard, and what happened at USC last week is a complete departure from those standards, especially defensively. We got run over and thrown all over. That's incredible. So, once again, hopefully we get a better result and our defense is able to get Washington off field in a timely manner that does not result in a lot of points. Now, will Washington score? Yes, absolutely. Their offense is dynamic enough to put points on the board. But as you saw when Washington played Ohio State and they lost 24-6, a dynamic enough defense can prevent them from loading up points. So, with that being said, if Michigan's defense can show that they're able to stop that offense, I think that there's a good chance Michigan pulls this out. So with a good offensive showing from Bryce Underwood, Justice Haynes, if he's healthy and back, and Jordan Marshall, along with those receivers, and once again, the tight ends need to get involved. They are a huge asset for Michigan. Klein and Hansen are amazing. So if we can get those guys involved, I think this could be a solid win for Michigan. I believe they're playing in Ann Arbor, so they have all the home stuff going for them, all the home advantages. It would be a blow, I think, in a bigger way than losing at USC. I think it would be worse to lose for Washington at home from a morale standpoint. So them losing at home, I feel like is bad. Like that would tell us that the team's in worse shape than a loss at USC did. On the West Coast, jet lag and all that. There's no excuses for that here. Michigan needs to beat Washington. They do. Like this is we're at kind of the halfway point of the season, getting towards there. Oh, yeah. And by this time, these problems need to be start ironing themselves out, or the rest of the season could very well just be a bumpy ride or just straight downhill because it's not going to get much easier. There are going to a few games that are against opponents that Michigan should easily be beating. This needs to be a game where Michigan solidly puts out offensively, defensively, special teams, every which way. They need to have a complete game against Washington to prove that what happened to USC was just a bunch of missteps and a bad game and a fluke. So that's what needs to happen tomorrow. Absolutely. So we are just hoping, as fans of every Michigan fan is hoping that is what happens tomorrow. All right, moving on to the rest of college football. Today, Louisville plays Miami, San Jose State, Utah State, North Carolina, and California, Nebraska, Minnesota. So my record of predicting results has not been great lately. But I'm going to keep doing it. And, maybe it proves a pattern and I start reversing fortune. So Miami will probably beat Louisville. Nebraska more likely beats Minnesota. Minnesota's struggling this year. So unfortunate. They've had some good years, but this is not one of them. Utah State, San Jose State. I'm going to say Utah State. I think they're the better team here. North Carolina, California, the battle of the bad. Wow. North Carolina is, they're in the doghouse right now. So I think California beats them because Bill Belichick is, man, whatever he was doing in the NFL makes him, looks like Brady carried him at this point. That's what it's really looking like. Let's be honest here. All right. Ohio State, Wisconsin. Oh, Wisconsin's so bad. Ohio State's going to blow them off the planet. Like that could be a beat down of epic proportions. Michigan State, Indiana. Indiana is the truth. I was wrong about them. They are the truth. They went to Eugene and beat Oregon. That's crazy. I think they're going to beat Michigan State pretty handily. That would be a monster upset, and I just don't see it. Texas A&M and Arkansas. Arkansas played really well against Tennessee last weekend, but I believe this version of our Texas A&M is not the one to get upset so easily. They played some legit teams. They beat Notre Dame, and Notre Dame's not a pushover this year. So I think maybe close, but I think Texas A&M probably pulls that out. Ole Miss and Georgia, that's going to be one. I think Georgia wins this. I like Ole Miss, I really do, but I think Georgia's just a little bit better as a whole team. So, but like I said, could very well go in Ole Miss's favor. I like them, but I think Georgia's just a little bit better. Tennessee, Alabama. Oh, this was like a couple years ago. This was a barn burner. What was it, 52-49 when Tennessee beat them at home? That was a good game. So I think, you know what? I'll just pick Tennessee. No clue. They're both good teams, but Tennessee has all the potential. Alabama has a good team, and the quarterback is, I think, maybe slightly better, but I'll just say Tennessee wins, especially if they're playing at home. Texas Tech, Arizona State. I don't know what's going on at Arizona State. I thought they were better than this year. So, and Texas Tech is undefeated, and they're playing like real like a real contender. So let's just call it Texas Tech on that one. Oregon and Rutgers. Oregon lost last week in a shocking loss, realistically, but Rutgers is bad. They got the wheels rocked off them by Washington, so I think Oregon pulls that one out. LSU Vanderbilt. It's another one that's hard to say because LSU didn't look great against South Carolina last weekend. So I'll say Vanderbilt on this one. I think they're I can never believe in what world I say this, but Vanderbilt's looking like a real solid football team. This is not the Vanderbilt of yesteryear. This is a very modern, a very good Vanderbilt team. So kudos to them for turning that around. A ship that was pretty much stuck at the bottom of the ocean for a long time was never floating. Georgia Tech, Duke. I think Georgia Tech's on a roll, and I think they're going to be there. I believe they're still undefeated, so I think they're going to keep that up. And yeah, they're looking hot. So I'm Haynes King. He's the truth. So I think Georgia Tech beats Duke. SoCal and Notre Dame. So USC deserves to be ranked. They beat Michigan fair and square last weekend. Yeah, they looked really good. They're going to play Notre Dame, and they're going to find out if they are the truth or if that was just a really good game for them and a bad game for Michigan. So I think Notre Dame beats Southern California, but should be a good game. So I think Notre Dame pulls that out. Oklahoma, South Carolina. Oklahoma revenge game. South Carolina, as bad as LSU looked, South Carolina didn't look much better. So I think Oklahoma beats SoCal. Or not SoCal, South Carolina. Goodness. Utah BYU, no clue. Utah beat Arizona State, but last weekend they blew them out of the water. They both raced them, but was that a fluke or not? We'll find out. So I think BYU holds on against Utah, but Utah's capable. But I think BYU is solid enough to win that. Missouri Auburn. Auburn's they fumbled it against Georgia, and I think that has a terrifying effect on morale. So I think Missouri pulls that one out. Missouri looked good against Alabama last week. Washington State, Virginia. Virginia's on a roll since beating Florida State. I think they carry that through, even though Washington State looked really good against Ole Miss. So Washington State, let's put it this way. Washington State can beat Virginia, but I think Virginia holds on and wins this one. But wouldn't be surprised if Washington State won that. But I think Virginia wins. Southern Florida and Florida Atlantic. Yeah, Southern Florida. Their quarterback, he's just a big old boy. He loves to run. So I think that's the key in that kind of game. Texas and Kentucky. Taking Texas. I like Kentucky, but I think Texas wins that one. Just a better team in general. Memphis UAB. I'm going to go Memphis. They're undefeated, and for a team that doesn't come from the strongest conference, they're respectable. So let's just say I'm going to call it that. Everybody's beating Oklahoma State this year, so I think Cincinnati will too. Yeah. Yeah, Oklahoma State's they're hurting this year. UConn, Boston College. UConn's awful. Boston College. Central Michigan, Bowling Green. Bowling Green probably. Central Michigan ain't doing so hot. Oh man, just a battle of the basement dwellers here. Miami of Ohio probably beats Eastern Michigan. Baylor and TCU. They're not awful. They're just kind of meh. I think TCU probably pulls that one out. Arizona, Houston. I like Arizona on that one. Army and Tulane. Tulane, I think, is a better team, but Army runs that triple option is weird. I'll go Army on that one. Washington, Michigan, I already covered that. I think Michigan pulls it out, but Washington is still respectable. UCF, West Virginia. West Virginia is not doing so hot this year, so let's go UCF on that one. Kent State, Toledo. Oh, goodness. Two awful teams. Let's say Kent State. Get them their second or third win of the season. I believe it'd be their third. They're bad. Buffalo, Mass. Let's go Buffalo. Massachusetts is just as bad as these other two. Purdue, Northwestern. Northwestern beat Penn State somehow. So, hey, let's give them another win against Purdue because apparently they're good enough to beat somebody. Troy and ULM. Louisiana Monroe. Are those Raging Cajuns? I'm thinking of. I could be wrong, but NIU, Ohio, goodness, Northern Illinois, App State, Coastal Carolina, App State, they're a better team, I believe. UNLV, Boise State. Now that's going to be interesting because Boise State was ranked coming into the season, and then they've since then the wheels have pretty much fallen off. But I think they'll beat UNLV. But those are two for not being great teams. Those are fun teams, if nothing else. Air Force, Wyoming. I think Air Force wins that. Texas State, Marshall. Marshall, but Texas State, for who they are, they show up. So Atkinson, Ball State. Oh goodness, let's say Ball State. SMU and Clemson. I believe that's a rematch from last year, if I remember correctly. But I think Clemson wins that. I think Dabo Swinney's kind of getting them back on track. Old Dominion, James Madison. James Madison there. North Texas can beat UTSA. I think they will. Temple, Charlotte. Charlotte's not hanging. Yeah, this year Charlotte's just looking terrible. I believe it's Charlotte 49ers. Yeah, it's a pickaxe there. So yeah, they're not doing so hot. So Temple Owls pulled that one out. I think Florida will beat Mississippi State, but uh, they had a disappointing game. They beat Texas, looked great, and then they just fell flat. So I think they're gonna. I think they're, but I do believe they're gonna beat Mississippi State. Oh, there's the Raging Cajuns. I was wrong. But yeah, Raging Cajuns, we'll just choose them this time because I don't care about either of these teams. Penn State, Iowa. Iowa is showing out, so I think Penn State is firing James Franklin was a thing, and the buyout is obviously enormous. But I think Penn State's hurting right now. Their fall from grace is just needs to be studied. So I think Iowa pulls that one out. Maryland, UCLA. Well, UCLA is on a hot streak right now, but and while I think they're going to beat Maryland, but be careful of getting too high in your own supply, and then the fall off could be devastating. So just be moderate, but I think they'll beat Maryland. Georgia State, Georgia Southern. Anybody know if that's a rivalry game? Seems like it should be. Let's go Georgia State. Hawaii and Colorado State. I think Colorado State's a better team, but I don't know where they're playing, so it could be at Hawaii. I'll take Colorado State in that one. Pittsburgh, Syracuse. Pittsburgh coming off that big win against Florida State that doesn't look so big considering Florida State's fallen off the map, seems like. But I'll take Syracuse in that one. Nevada, New Mexico. I think New Mexico's doing better this year. And Lafayette, Oregon State. Oregon State, even though as bad as they are, I don't know who Lafayette even is. And then Florida State, Stanford. I think Florida State pulls this one out. Yeah. Stanford's just bad, and Florida State. Nobody. I don't think they have an identity right now. So, and Mike Norvell needs this win to keep his job basically at this point. So, but yeah, that's all for this week. Covered a lot of games. It's a lot of talking. But yeah, so those are my predictions, and hopefully I am not nearly as wrong as I was last week. So, anyways, y'all have a good one. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, subscribe. If not, appreciate you being here and have a great weekend. And go blue. Peace.